We are back and we have two big projects to do on the Corvette today to try to get it going. You saw in the last video, if you watched the last video, if not, go back and watch that we generally have it running, and we did a lot of fuel system work. Today, exhaust work and radiator work. So coolant and exhaust. I got these Hedman Headers. It's the cheapest possible header you can buy for a C4 Corvette. It's got this nasty E-coat paint on it that has to be burned off or ground off to replace with high heat paint. Not sure what I'm gonna do there. I'm just getting them fitted up right now. But one of the big challenges that I was gonna run into is gonna be the radiator. There's no real core support here. It's all been cut out. I'm gonna be putting a bar right here for a bumper. So I've got to mount the radiator here, and the problem is the radiator I got, the old Wuhan Wonder here, a lot shorter than the old one, and I removed the expansion tank, so no more expansion tank on this Corvette. Which means, to make things simple, I really need to get the radiator cap above the heads to make that the highest point. So I can't just set this down on this support down here. It has to go kind of up here. Oh God. And because it has to go up there, the transmission lines for the transmission cooler don't quite fit. At least not in the right place, and they're kind of bent all up already from a stock configuration. They'll be hard to bend in the right place. So what I've done, I've bought these compression fittings so I can cut that and put a soft line on it with just a 3/8 barb. Hopefully between the lift and being able to just reach in here, I can get it done pretty good. But let's go ahead, and I'm sure that's a 9/16 header bolt, so let's go ahead and get a 9/16 and see if we can easily loosen those bolts. All right, y'all pray for me. Hey, I figured with one missing, they might all be loose. Yep. Now you can see how on a regular Corvette, how this would be difficult, because you'd have a big old AC box sitting out right here that would pretty much make those almost impossible to get to. So behind the dipstick, there's another nut. So you'll have a nut holding the dipstick in, and then another nut holding the actual stud in. So I've got to get the dipstick out. There we go. Gotta make sure that goes back in. Ow! Wow. Look at the bird crap booger welds on that. You know, I was just bragging on these headers for coming with their own header gaskets. Problem is, they sent the wrong gaskets. That doesn't fit. Let's see if Jegs will make that right, or if they will just ignore me. All right, well, I guess I'll just set it up here just to see what it's gonna look like for today. Everyone says these have to come in from the bottom, but maybe they absolutely do have to come in from the bottom. Okay? All right, that dipstick is in the way. Let's get that out of there, I think. Air retainer. I don't think so. I think it just comes out. It still has oil in it. All right, well that cleans it up a lot over here. I'm obviously going to paint those black with some high temp paint, but I got to get that E-coating off first. Hey, I forgot I even have new spark plugs. I forgot I hadn't replaced those, so let's go ahead and replace those spark plugs today too. Hand tight, I don't think is the way to go on these. Not even hand tight. These actually aren't that bad. A little carbon buildup, but they're all very consistent. All right, let's get this radiator mounted. I welded a little cross member in there that will the radiator fit on. I got it tilted back about 20 degrees. I want the radiator to kind of sit back, not straight up. And I do have it where the radiator cap will be above the heads, so I think that's probably right. My Chinesium radiator I bought, I just cannot get the transmission lines to screw in. So I'm going to go to some soft lines, and I couldn't even get adapters to screw in for the 3/8 soft line. So I'm going to run an auxiliary cooler and bypass the one in the radiator altogether. All right, that's looking pretty good. It's raked back just a little too much, but I have room to change it by about 10 degrees this way. In the meantime, I've been working on the headers. I got some Hedman headers, just the base. I mean, it's really the only ones for this car, unless you want to spend some money on some Dugs or something like that, and I do not. The only complaint I have with the Hedman, same thing everyone has, the coating they put on it, woo-wee, hard to get off. That's the only reason I haven't painted them, and I am going to wrap them. But the only reason I haven't done that yet is because I got to crank it up and let it get up to temp and bake the rest of that paint off, because you just cannot get the coating in between off. And I've tried the brake fluid trick, I've tried industrial stripper, and it does come off, but just not all the way. Getting to the spark plugs without taking the headers off is a challenge. So I put the spark plugs in after the headers, and getting this one, really that one, and definitely that one in was a challenge. Can't use a spark plug socket. It just doesn't fit, but what I have found is that if you use a pass-through socket, that you can get them on there. I think I got my transmission lines hooked up. Let me know if you don't think this will work. So these are compression fittings to 3/8 line. I think 5/16 would have been fine, but I went in with 3/8 up to there. Is that too high of a mounting point for this cooler? I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I also got these pieces welded up. I hope you can see them. Maybe you can see them better. These are the uprights for the radiator to lean back against. I'll put some padding on this. You know, it's not often times in life that you find heroes, but I now have heroes, new heroes. Whoever decides that they can put these headers on a stock C4 Corvette with all the stuff, you're my hero. These aren't hard to get on right now because everything's out of the way and there's nothing there. And I can have a lift and I can get under there and I can. If this was still put together with big fenders out here and all the stuff, especially on the other side with the AC, I don't know how you would do it. I still have 2 bolts I can't get in. I mean, I'll get them, but my God. But I will say, they look sweet. I haven't wrapped them yet, obviously. But the only challenge with these Hedman headers, and hey, I get it, they're the cheapest possible option for a C4, and they're pretty well made. I like them. I do like them. They look good. But man, some of those spark plug placements are a challenge. This side's probably easier because you can kind of get to at least 3 of the 4. All my plug wires are ran. They're not tied up out of the way, but they're ran. Tighten this side headers. Hey, on these Hedman headers, I guess for the flange, they press those bolt holes through, and they can leave a little nub on a few of them, especially ones that are real close to the actual tube. So look at that, and you may have to file down a little remnant of the pressed hole, because some of them look like they get pressed in kind of sideways. I'm sure that's to get them around the tube, but you're gonna have to file that down, or some of these just aren't gonna start. I'm gonna have to leave one bolt out of that side over there for the initial startup, and one bolt out of this side over here, because I've got to take them back off and just use a little round file to file down the little place. $289. It came with the collectors. I say the collectors. It came with the little swivel ball and socket adapter. It comes with the header bolts. Came with the gaskets. Everything you need for $200, and I think after tax was $300. These used to be like $150. No, they were really a good deal at that point. To get this one in, that's the second to back one. I may have to dent that pipe a little bit. This head just is not going around that pipe. It wants to go in sideways. So the exhaust system, as you can probably might be able to see, is going to be really fun. There's not a lot of room. Okay. So the exhaust system is not going to be much fun, because previously the exhaust ran right down over the drive shaft there. Kind of came around the transmission pan and collected right there. And I could still do that. I want to go cheap. We'll see. I still have the original pipe. And I did cut it, but I cut it up by where the collector would be for the manifold. Tell me what y'all think I should do. All right, we're getting real close to trying to crank it back up and seeing if everything works with the new spark plugs and the headers and everything. There's still no belt on it, so the water pump's not going to be moving now. So let's see if the transmission cooler leaks, because it'll start pumping if it cranks. I hope it cranks. And I want to see what those duals sound like. I'll see if it sounds good with these headers. Contact. Oh, phones. Check for leaks. What's leaking? Here. Or is that the paint baking off? Oh, nope, something's leaking. something in the tank. All right, I forgot to put the fuel return line in the tank, so there was fuel leaking. Again, par for the course.
This gas is cheap.
Hey, that thing sounded good. It sounded a lot better with the tubes than it did with the manifolds. No leaks on the transcooler. Good deal. So we've wrapped these headers after painting them. This paint's going to boil right off. I don't have any way of curing it really, and I wasn't going to cure it on the car because I didn't want to take them on and off and on and off and on and off. The wrap looks good. This is the second one I did, and it looks a lot better than the first one. I've never wrapped headers, but this one has turned out pretty good. So we'll see if we can get this bad ride back down in here. I might have to go in from the bottom, especially now that the spark plugs are in. Yeah, I wound up breaking the spark plug if I'm not careful.
You already went through that in the Dodge.
Right. Yeah.
What do you need?
Just hold it while I go get the gasket. Well, I must have taken the gasket with me. It must be over there. So,
Or anything, keep it from sticking.
I don't think so.
It's all gonna burn off.
Okay. Let it go now.
Sure.
Yep. All right. If I can get those tightened up without cross threading, you love being able to cross thread into a aluminum head. All right, so we've got the spark plugs booted and in there. I still need to get some better routing pieces, but they're in there. Also on the other side. Still no coolant, still no belt. So we're not going to be able to drive it, but I can drive it off the lift to get the Jeep on the lift. So we got to clamp all of our tools. And in the next video, we're cutting up this razor cage and going to try to make a roll cage for the Corvette. So y'all tune in and see how to make a cheap roll cage or how to really screw up a cheap roll cage. Either way, you're going to learn something. So we got to bolt down the seats. So we got to bolt down the fuel tank back here. And then I have a tremendous amount of wire to cull from this thing. I mean, I've got to figure out what I'm going to do about lights and all that, but that's secondary. Not too concerned about that. I can always run my own lights. I got to figure out what I can cull and not mess up any computer or body modules or anything like that. And this thing ain't going to have much, but all the wiring under the dash is still tore up. All the wires coming out from behind the radio still tore up. It's still a long, long, long way. But anyway, we're getting close. This thing wants to go, boy. When it was hard in that wet grass, it was hard to keep the tires from spinning. Getting it back on here, the back end is so light that it wanted to walk just going up that little bitty metal ramp. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week.